We all know the grind. You work hard, you optimize, you save religiously, and yet there is this invisible, suffocating barrier, the $100,000 annual income mark. For millions of ambitious, smart professionals, this number feels like the absolute zenith of financial success, a difficult summit to reach, let alone surpass comfortably. You might have the necessary skills, the degrees, and the work ethic that could arguably warrant 5 times that income, but mentally, hitting that 6-figure milestone feels like hitting a physical wall. Why? Because the problem is not a lack of effort or skill, it's a failure of imagination reinforced by a psychological boundary. This phenomenon, which dictates how high we permit ourselves to climb, is what I call the scarcity ceiling. It's the invisible architecture of inherited financial limitation, and today we are going to expose how it works, and more importantly, how to smash right through it.
The scarcity ceiling is defined as the maximum income level your subconscious mind is comfortable maintaining without triggering an emotional fear response or imposter syndrome. Crucially, this ceiling is relative. What feels like an aspirational, nearly impossible goal to you, say $100,000, is often the baseline, the mental floor for someone else who grew up exposed to radically different financial narratives. For those operating above this ceiling, $500,000 doesn't feel greedy, risky, or exceptional. It simply feels necessary and normal, a function of the marketplace and their perceived value. The ceiling is built from outdated narratives we absorbed from our environment, usually revolving around the idea that earning too much is inherently unstable, morally questionable, or simply outside of our identity. It's a self-imposed financial governor, limiting the flow based on conditioning, not actual potential.
Many people mistakenly believe that the difference between the $100,000 earner and the $500,000 earner is purely skill differentiation. They assume the higher earner possesses some proprietary knowledge, works significantly harder, or is dramatically more talented. While skills are certainly a prerequisite for any success, they are rarely the distinguishing factor at these advanced levels. Consider 2 highly competent consultants. Both have excellent technical skills. One charges $200 per hour, the other charges $1,000. The divergence isn't in their technical proficiency, it's in their pricing audacity, their belief in their market value, and the permission they have granted themselves to capture that value. The $1,000 consultant is operating without the scarcity ceiling. Their mindset dictates the price, and the market responds accordingly, not necessarily the quality of the PowerPoint slides.
To truly grasp the relativity of the scarcity ceiling, we must observe those who have surpassed it. If you enter the orbit of high-level entrepreneurs, top-tier corporate executives, or specialized professionals, you quickly realize that $500,000 is often treated as a maintenance level, the income required just to sustain their current lifestyle, obligations, and investments. They are not perpetually amazed by that number. They are focused on the next multiple. Their conversations revolve around strategic deployment of capital, scaling infrastructure, and managing highly complex tax situations. This normalization of high earnings is the critical difference. Their upbringing or early career exposure installed a different mental floor. They were implicitly granted permission to participate in higher economic strata, making the quantum leap from $100K to $500K feel like a natural progression, rather than a reckless leap of faith, as it often feels to the ceiling-bound earner.
Where does this ceiling originate? It's often rooted deeply in childhood environment, familial history, and the economic trauma or scarcity narratives passed down through generations. If your parents emphasized security over opportunity, or if the culture you grew up in viewed wealth with suspicion, equating it with corruption or moral failure, your subconscious built a robust defense mechanism against high earning. It is literally trying to protect you by keeping you in a financially familiar, though limited, zone. We internalize metrics like a good job pays X dollars, or only famous people make Y dollars, effectively pre-programming our earning potential. To break this, we must perform an archaeology of our financial assumptions, identifying the exact historical moments or family scripts that established the 100K, or whatever your number is, as the emotional limit for acceptable compensation. This brings us to the core concept, permission. You are waiting for external validation, a promotion, a degree, a market shift, to justify earning more. But the truth is, the permission must be self-granted.
The 500K earner didn't wait for a sign. They simply decided they were worth it and structured their life, services, and expectations around that decision. This shift involves moving from a scarcity mindset, which believes high earnings must be meticulously saved and hoarded, to an abundance mindset, which views income as a renewable resource flow. When you grant yourself permission to play in a higher league, you stop accepting low-paying clients, you cease negotiating timidly, and you fundamentally change the context in which you operate. This mental shift precedes the tactical earning changes, not the other way around.
For many people stuck beneath the ceiling, stepping outside their current earning comfort zone feels profoundly risky. They fear failure, losing their current stability, or facing public embarrassment. However, we must radically redefine what constitutes true financial risk. True risk isn't trying to launch that high-stakes venture. True risk is the stagnation that comes from perpetually playing small. It is the opportunity cost of living beneath your potential for decades. The 500K mindset understands that sometimes a large upfront investment in specialized mentorship, advanced education, or high-value networking events is required to bypass years of incremental slow growth. They see high-cost commitments not as expenditures, but as necessary leverage points designed to accelerate them past their perceived ceiling. This reframing turns fear of loss into anticipation of accelerated gain.
The quickest way to shatter your scarcity ceiling is through environmental immersion, which is the network effect. Your earning capacity is often the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your inner circle views 100K as the peak, that ceiling becomes reinforced by peer validation. If you proactively seek out environments where 500K is the entry-level conversation, your mind is forced to normalize that reality. This isn't just about meeting wealthier people. It's about accessing different mental models, different operational blueprints, and entirely new vocabularies around value creation and capital management. Attending conferences, joining high-level masterminds, or simply reading biographies of those operating at a higher scale are intentional acts of installing a new financial baseline, giving your brain the proof it needs that 5 times your current income is achievable and normal.
Another critical divergence between the two groups is their approach to spending. The scarcity mindset views every expense above necessity as a threat to security. The abundant mindset views strategic expenditure as necessary infrastructure for growth. This is the cost of entry. For example, outsourcing non-core tasks, hiring an assistant, paying for premium software, using a financial planner is not a luxury. It's a calculated move to free up the high-value mental bandwidth necessary to perform $500,000 work. If you are spending 10 hours a week on tasks that someone earning $20 an hour could handle, you are effectively self-imposing an artificial pay cap on yourself. The higher earner understands that money must be spent to conserve their most precious non-renewable resource, their time and focus. This is the investment that allows scaling. Consider the mental gymnastics required to jump from a 500K baseline to the $1 million mark. This jump often requires moving beyond trading time for money entirely and mastering leveraged systems, productization, passive income streams, or equity ownership. The reason many stall at 500K is that they successfully maximized their time for money exchange but hit a physical limit. The mental shift for the $1 million earner is the understanding that their value is detached from their physical presence. They shift their focus from how much can I earn to how many systems can I build that generate income without my direct intervention. This requires permission to delegate, to trust, and to accept calculated systemic risk, traits that the scarcity mindset actively resists, preferring the guaranteed, albeit smaller, reward of hourly labor.
To practically break your ceiling, start with a daily mental reframing exercise. First, identify your current scarcity ceiling number. Second, define your normalcy number, the income level that you want to feel utterly boring and stable, e.g. 400K. Third, list 3 specific actions you would take today if you suddenly inherited the confidence of someone already earning that normalcy number. Would you immediately raise your prices? Fire a low-paying client? Invest in a high-ticket coach? Finally, start budgeting your life as if you already earned that normalcy number. This isn't reckless spending, it's forcing your reality to catch up to your imagination. By acting as if you have permission, you begin to identify and then eliminate the behaviors that anchor you to your lower inherited baseline.
The scarcity ceiling is one of the most insidious obstacles to financial freedom because it masquerades as prudence or reality. But remember, the difference between the person who struggles to break $100,000 and the one who effortlessly operates at $500,000 is rarely raw competence. It is almost always permission, environment, and the mental architecture they choose to inhabit. Your skills are sufficient. Your permission slip is overdue. Take what you learned today, identify the hidden boundaries you've accepted, and begin the deliberate, uncomfortable process of setting a new, higher standard for yourself. The market is ready to pay your true value. The only remaining negotiation is internal. If this deep dive into financial psychology resonated with you, and you are serious about upgrading your financial operating system, please do the following. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.